So the natural progression was to offboard a lot of this stuff and start building our own systems. Plus, you can imagine that makes it have longevity too, because if anything ever happened to TradingView, we're sort of tied to whatever they decide to do, right, in future, right? So it basically future proofs our whole system and processes too, which can only be a good thing. So yeah, I mean, cut a long story short, we're here to talk about EM levels, and we have EM Levels Pro, which offers not just like the old EM levels, it actually will give you the optimal range sizes automatically, right? Which is a major hurdle for anyone trying to use those levels when one day we're trading a 300-point range, next day we're trading 1,000-point range. You know what I mean? So it really helps to just rely on the levels more and not have to decide, oh, I made the wrong choice today with the range size. Look, it was clearly this range size in hindsight. So yeah, that issue gets more and more redundant now with those the EM Levels Pro. EM Levels XL takes it one step further, and I'll show you that now. Let's just have a quick check of what people are saying. It's very laggy. Well, let me see if I can do something with that, because it might just be the audio settings. One moment. Maybe I just should have pure no processing. How's that, everyone? Is that sounding better? Yeah, I think maybe it was just the isolation, noise cancellation in Discord. It's not really, but no, not so much lower. Anyway, it's being recorded and you can ask questions in the chat anyway. And we can continue to engage on the subject after the stream anyway. All right, I'll get to it. So you should be able to see my screen. If not, it's not a problem really. I'll just share the video afterwards and you can ask me questions, but it should be sharing. But as it stands, as you can see, we have EM levels on the chart, GC on the left, NQ on the right. Yeah. And you can see in the inputs, we have auto range size. So if you have it on auto, as opposed to manual, right, where you'd be able to punch in the values yourself, but on auto, it's picking it and it will change day to day, right? So it'll pick the one for the current day. Yeah, and so you don't have to think so much as before. And you can see here on gold, it pretty nicely frames, like the start of the day is around here for the levels to print. And then you'd just be waiting for some kind of rejection or reaction off of those, or your entry level, your entry model, should I say, from those levels. So it just gives you an area of price where you can trade from. Yeah. Which is cool. And then let's say, things are very volatile at the moment. You can stick it on swing and it gives you the broader predicted range, right? And I didn't really want to go too much into entry models as such, but if anyone remembers a couple of years back when we released these, it was always just get close to a level, right? Inducement, then run those lows into the level and trade the move back up, right? And similarly here, inducement, run into the level, then trade away. This 5-minute chart anyway. You probably have better luck on like a 1 minute or a 15-second chart with that volatility, but that's the kind of idea. Yeah. And so then it was like, okay, cool. That's what this is doing for traders. I know a lot. It's got 1,000. It had like over 1,000 rockets on the. Can you imagine on the script that I had publicly available for EM levels? 1,000 rockets plus, right? So it was very popular, and I even had TradingView reach out to me after I took it down, offering some support. I won't go into that too much, but basically they saw the value in the scripts we've been producing, not just EM levels, and they wanted to see if we could have some kind of like partnership, which doesn't surprise me, honestly. But yeah, you can see here inducement, run, and then your entry model. It could be order flow based, so looking at absorption. Yeah, I know a lot of order flow guys love support and resistance levels to accompany with their trading. So it doesn't surprise me that when I posted about this over the last 2 days, we had a lot of people from groups that were related to GEX and order flow and whatnot flooding into the server, because it's useful. It's useful knowing where you should take action each day, even as an order flow trader. And I mean that in the pure sense, reading the books. You want to know where you want to pay attention to each day, and having too many levels to pay attention to, it's confusing for any trader. But for those traders, they're often looking at things like previous day low, previous day high sweeps, value area high, value area low, point of control from previous periods, spikes on the profile like HVNs, high volume node and stuff, right? Whereas this simplifies that a lot. This isn't cherry picked as well. This is what it tends to look like if anyone's been trading these levels. Kind of gives you an awareness of where to trade from each day, right? But yeah, I'll take it one step further. Why EMXL? I sort of had this idea. I'm like, we can probably make it easier for some traders, because they might be like, every trader has a bunch of levels, and in hindsight they're like, damn, I should have waited for that. Yeah. And so what EMXL does is it basically helps to, if you want, because it has EM Pro in it too, but it's just an additional resource that tells you which of the fewest levels out of all of the levels should you be focused on and caring about each day, right? So that's the main differences between Pro and XL. I'll whack on Pro, XL even. So here is XL, here is XL, right? Same levels, but there's a clear difference, right? Here you can see it's got the same levels here as EM levels, right? But this is showing none of the ones above and none of the ones below here on GC, right? And that's because these are what are called charged levels, yeah? So charged levels enable charged levels, right? And so whichever one you have here selected in the display, yeah, your all levels, charged levels, and apex only. Apex is the single most strong level out of all of the charged levels. Charged levels are the strong levels, yeah, but there are more of them. apex is the strongest of those, yeah, for that day. Yep. And so whichever one you have on, if you stick on highlight raid bars, it's going to show you rejections from whatever charged level you have on. Let's say I put on just apex, it's going to show you only the raid rejections from the single strongest level. And you can see most of the time you're going to hit that level. Sure, price can be pretty choppy at times, especially at the moment, but that is where you want to look for your entry model, you understand? So you keep trading from that until finally price gives way. Yeah. And similarly for here, whack on. So you probably understand my thinking process. I'm not just like releasing something for the sake of it, because trust me, we got enough other tools and like premium subscribers to just rely on the suite, right? But this is more like a creation for a need, right? And like a missing part of the puzzle, right? So just having something that allows you to, what you see here, start for the day, rejection, start for the day, rejection, start of the day, rejection, reclaim. That's very strong sign of bullishness thereafter, but you're going to have had at least one trade in that sequence of rejections anyway, right? If you were paying attention. Yeah. And so that is that. Then moving on to how to actually pair. So if I put back to charge as well, so you're getting the apex and the charge levels. How to actually couple sensitivity, right? So this, if you hover over that, how strict the hidden confluence match must be before a level charges. So tight, you're going to have a stricter rule of like what defines that confluence, right? What defines the charged level, right? So they're going to be less prominent. You're not going to have as many charge levels in that instance because it takes more to make one, right? That said, wide is good for me when I'm using swing levels, right? And at the moment, price is very volatile. So swing and wide works fine for catching those knife drop moves, as you can see. So that's kind of what I'm using for GC. It's working for NQ as well. But then some days you might have to, you'll start the day and you'll be like, you'll scan around. You're like, well, you know, we got an old high, a bunch of old highs here that haven't been tested, and I can see the optimal charge level is down here. So I'm naturally going to be more drawn towards whatever range size frames that, right? So yeah, using a bit of common sense. It's not like if I whack on like EM levels, stacks, yeah. It's not like stacks where you can sit down and be like, once it loads, you're like, okay, I'll just wait for a bloody signal, right? And there's a great signal there, which is totally outside of the realm of what these levels are doing, right? So you can't see the stack because I've got to if I remove hide invalidated clusters, because they disappear once we've touched the next stack. But it's not like this where it gives you a signal and you're literally just, you'd be getting an alert when that happens, right? Buy now, yeah, and then gives you targets or whatever. It's not like that because that would be helping too much for like $35 to $50 or whatever a month, wouldn't it? Um, Far too much research and value went into that. So that's kind of the idea. So you can understand why I sort of pushed for this so quick, because I'm like, well, the next question is how, like, someone's going to ask, how do you know when it's going to hold? I'm like, well, I know, but it's maybe not obvious for everyone. So I'm trying to make it more obvious for everyone what to wait for. You understand? Um, so yeah, that's that. Then I wanted to just um, go through alerts. Yeah. So you could actually be like, hey, uh, you got your new levels printed for the day. It's going to tell you when the new levels are printed. Cool. Um, then it's going to tell you when a standard EM level is rated. Or maybe you only want to see when a charge level or an apex level has been rated. Maybe you only want to see when an apex level is rated, right? And you can have that confirmed on the 1 minute or even in seconds. Yeah. So more granular the better. So I just do a 1 second raid. Yep. That's kind of it. It doesn't need to be a long process of me talking about X, Y, and Z. It's that simple. Yeah. Let's have a quick check what people are doing. Okay, well, that's it. Do you have any questions? Because it doesn't need to be this arduous, long process, you know. But do you understand why I did it now and why it's slightly better than the original EM levels? And then it's the Excel is slightly better um, than, well, quite a lot better than the Pro. Only a slight price increase. So honestly, I'd just be getting the Pro. The XL. Um, just tuned in. Don't worry, because this is recorded and it's short. So, and I'll release it on YouTube. So it'll be very easy to watch. Not like my usual 2 hour bloody lectures where I'm like, I'll only be 15 minutes, ends up being an hour and a half, because I don't know when to shut up. Mm. Do you need TradingView Premium for... No. No, you don't. No, you don't. You don't at all. Yeah. Damn. William. William's our CTO, Chief Tech Officer, and he does the website. And he's building the new trading platform, charting platform. We could also add these into the platform, couldn't we? So, but we'd have better data. We'd have better data because we have an MBO, raw MBO feed. So basically the full order book in the new platform. So you can see literally tick for tick, people entering orders and removing them, full depth, 1400 depth levels. So yeah, you could probably, we could build an even better version of this. Yeah, for sure. For other days, yeah. Let's see. I think secret ATM Lab is at the end. Yes, that's true. Thanks for reminding me. Okay, yeah. So for other days, let's whack on charged levels again. That is it's not always going to be perfect every day. Sometimes we might not even hit one of the levels. I need to go back a little bit more. But it's basically like, which level should you be focused on for the day, you know? I don't know why this isn't going back. Let me check. It's just being strange. Ah, that's why. Okay, yeah, so it was down here. So yeah, I've noticed this quite a lot. So at the start of the day, yeah, you might come up here. If you know anything about EM levels and how to trade them, we get close to a level, then we run into the level, and then you have your entry model, right? And usually when this scenario happens, it's run into an apex level at the start of the day, yeah, and then it's just up only. Same for like bearish too, if you see that. And then like in this scenario, what would you do? Well, you have, in theory, there's a lot of chop around there. And in some cases, you might be better off sticking to, like, you got some other levels here with Pro, right? Which you can have in the XL too, right? And so there was a clear trade from the breakdown of this after inducing from the level and dropping, yeah. And then we stopped dead up here, which is strange, but yeah, not unexpected. So it's just like, where do you want to trade from? These are trade from zones. You trade from them and around them, right? But here it's kind of like it's choppy. And do you really get a clean break until here? Not really, do you? You know? And it's not just like ICT methodologies, is it? Because, well, ICT traders be trying to enter really early in most of this, whereas maybe a seasoned order flow trader trading like real breaks of legs, would be trading more around here, right? So he's rejecting, short, bit messy, but it's GC at the end of the day. Trading rejections like this, that is not a charged level, but it's a swing-based GC EM terminus range. So you'd maybe just try and trade these pullbacks too. And you got to remember, these are pretty damn decent moves because it's a whole day, yeah. So like even that pullback that's just stupid money on GC, even with micros. So I remember it was only a little while ago that was the day's range. So, and now it's just retracements. But yeah, we'll go back again. And I'll turn off the Pro so we can just see that. And once again, that's a really nice example because you start the day here and you come straight up to the apex level and drop really hard. So you can see now why it's kind of useful to know what levels to wait for. And you would have gotten an alert there. I mean, the hard part is, and that's why I like Stacks and the other tools. Obviously, I am biased to some extent because it's what I use to trade. And also, you can imagine what if I'm giving this away for cheap, you can imagine what I've got behind a bigger price tag, Yeah, because I want something to tell me when to enter, if I'm honest. But yeah, it's like, how do you trade that? Yeah. Well, that's up to you. That's not my responsibility. I'm not mentoring, as it were. But that first rejection, I'd just be from my experience, I'd just be like, well, there's no break or anything, you know? And typically to trade from a level, an EM level, you want some kind of inducement. That was, but it happened before the level's printed, so it doesn't count. And if you drop to a low enough time frame, you'll find what you need, right? I'm sure. Okay, so we have these here. So you come towards the level, get close, move away, come back up, and then you're waiting for the break, pretty much. So high, low, highest, then a break below these lows, whatever. If you're using small size, right, doesn't really matter, does it? You can just enter around there and just define your risk. Define your risk and then just ride it out, right? Define how much you're willing to lose for such a trade, an apex level trade, and then just watch it fall off a cliff thereafter, you know? So yeah, okay, sounds good. All right. Well, yeah, I know Nico isn't here, but I will go through ATM Lab. It's for any ticker except stocks. I'm going to need to modify because they got different timings of things. No worries. Different timings of things, right? So yeah, it's not going to work on all stocks. It works on Bitcoin. Just make sure you're on a Bitcoin chart or an Ethereum chart that isn't low open interest. So on an exchange with enough activity, right? Because otherwise you're just going to get candles with holes in on even the 5-minute chart, you know. But yeah, pretty much anything, and it will work for stocks when I have time to work on that. And I don't at the moment because I've got more important things to work on. Yeah, anyway, so that's that. So we'll move on to ATM Lab then. So ATM Lab, Automated Trading Machine Lab. So I've been working on this. Basically makes it so you can log in with your prop account, right? And it trades for you. And you might see this signal type here, Hobgoblin GC. Well, we got 20 signals running in a Virgin Walk. Virgin Walk means basically you can have these signals that are based on MBO level 3 data. So that's the full book with placing and pulling orders and all of this stuff, and like the most granular order book data you can get. And so we've built signals around that over the last few months, and we're just letting them run. Yeah, just letting them run. So if I go to, say, evilsignals.trade, right? And you can see here in research, yeah, it's showing it's 23 now, right? Some of them fail, right? So the read complete is just my time to look at the data, because we based it off of stuff that happened 1 month in the past, and then we checked multiple other months to see if it worked the same in other months. These order flow derived signals, and if they didn't make the walk, right? And then the live Virgin Walk is where those signals that passed the CI5 and the out of sample tests they moved to a live walk to see if our engines, so our signal generation engines, can also replicate that success that we saw in the out of sample testing, right? In sample, it basically means the month that the training was, the signal was identified in. Out of sample means taking that same signal and applying it to multiple different months to see if the edge stays, right? And then thereafter, it's the virgin walk. We're not done yet. The virgin walk, which you see here, it has to, the actual execution engine needs to also show that it works. Yep. And only once these have passed their 40 to 450 walk counts, so individual signals, can we then plug it into what? ATM Lab, which is full automation. You basically just log in with your prop credentials, can you imagine? And it trades for you with with MBO level 3 data. You might wonder, why the hell would I want to sell this? Well, if it works so well, maybe I won't to everyone, but we have a few people in the chat, or they'll at least listen to the video later, who have been with us and supporting us throughout this journey, waiting for this. So they will hear about this. But yeah, it's not for everyone, because I mean the process of building this stuff is not for everyone because it's incredibly challenging, right? And even things that look like an edge, they can end up dying when you try and execute them. So we have one qualified edge at the moment. We're waiting on this next guy. But it's executing, right? So that's what I wanted to say. It's now working as of Friday to execution. Not everything is like done and dusted. But yeah, it's looking good. But yeah, just to have something where you can log in and it trades for you based off of such high quality data, external from any other trading platform or whatever, right? We don't rely on anyone. We are our own execution generation, signal generation systems. So I mean, name another guy who's doing that. I think I can think of one other guy, but I haven't seen that he keeps it very private, which I understand and respect that. He probably won't ever release his stuff to the public, and I wouldn't want too many people using this anyway, because I don't really want to be so visible. I think just for the safety and security for anyone using it, right? So I don't know, we might just cap it to like 20 people or something, right? Yeah. Anyway, that's that. So yeah, we can probably call it now. If you have any more questions, let me know. You can just tag me in the chat. Yeah, man. Like, as you know, it's been a, it's been such a long journey, almost like bordering on spiritual awakening. if you can, if you can sort of understand how that could happen, just because so much, you got to keep pushing even when you have like bad news. You can't let that stop you from working the next day, you know? So, and we've had a lot of good news recently, so I'm really appreciating where we are at, because it's leaps and bounds from where we were, you know? How do you get on the list? Well, you got to be a subscriber at the moment. Basically, you got to be subscribing when we're about to release, I would say. And then there are going to be, it's going to still be capped probably within reason, just for safety of everyone. Yeah. Um, yeah. That's what I'm thinking anyway. From where I'm sat now, I don't like to think about too much about like what that would look like until we're ready to start giving a few people access, which could be very, very soon. I'm just probably the next 2 days, Monday and Tuesday, I'll know more about what needs to be done with ATM Lab. Um, yeah, no real release date yet. Um, I don't like to put timelines to these kinds of things. It's easy with like the charting platform. Probably in a month we'll have people demoing that, right? Because that's near enough looking at a point where people can start testing. But with ATM Lab, what's the pipeline? It's like we have one signal, right? I need to make it was executing for me on Friday, right? But we had some uh, things that needed to be fixed with trade counts. It was producing too many trades because it wasn't aware of some kind of um, part of the thing that the research was based on to produce those signals, right? Um, it was like skipping a step, basically, of decision making. Yeah. So we're getting all these signals coming through, and I'm like, well, we should be getting 2 to 3 signals per day for that one signal type. That was the average, and so I've resolved that, and now I need to see again on Monday and Tuesday if it's executing as it should. If that green lights, if that passes, then it's the next step is, well, letting it run on the account. But whilst that's happening, looking to see if we can implement the next signal that passed the version walk, right? Which has likely already happened. I just haven't had a chance to check the research being collected because of this current signal needing to be plugged in perfectly. But now we have the blueprint for execution from MBO L3 based signals. We have the blueprint from start to finish, the signal triggering to all the way through to order management and execution. I can much more easily execute the same blueprint on new signals that get passed. You see what I mean? So the process is a lot quicker to actually getting it plugged in, right? So I did all the hard work this week for good reason. And so now that's where we are. But yeah, thank you everyone. Appreciate you joining me. I'll upload this to YouTube now. And yeah, have a good rest of your weekend.